The story begins with the voice of a young narrator who wants to recount the true events that happened at his school over the past 2 years. Neither the police nor the city's powerful figures were able to solve the case, and for them, it still remains a mystery. Because of this, anyone who tries to investigate too deeply into the incident will be arrested. The tale starts at an elementary school. Justine Gandy, the first-grade teacher, heads to her class as usual, but is met with a shocking scene. All 18 of her students are absent, except for one boy, Alex. The night before, at exactly 2:17 a.m., every child had awakened from sleep, left their homes, and walked into the darkness, never to return. Following this incident, the police and the parents began searching desperately for answers. As the children left, home security alarms rang across half the neighborhood, yet no one knew where the kids had gone. The security cameras recorded only one thing: the children leaving their houses and disappearing into the night. The police questioned Alex, the sole child who remained, but he seemed to know nothing. If there had been a plan, he hadn't heard of it. He wasn't a very popular kid among his classmates. Justine herself was interrogated as well, but like Alex, she had no answers. The school was shut down completely for a month while investigations continued. When no progress was made, the authorities had no choice but to reopen it so the remaining children could resume their studies. On the eve of reopening, a large meeting was held for the parents of the missing children. They were encouraged to share their feelings, hoping that some clue might emerge. The first act of the film centers on Justine Gandy, the teacher of the missing children. A counselor tried to comfort the families in their grief, but tensions rose when Archer, a father of one of the lost kids, demanded to know what had happened in Justine's class that could cause 17 children to vanish. The parents pressed her for answers. Justine insisted that she knew nothing, that she was just as lost as they were, and had no idea what the children's motives could have been. But the parents refused to believe her. Some even demanded that the principal hand her over to the police. Fearing the angry parents might hurt her, the staff escorted Justine to her car. Already in a fragile mental state, Justine tried to calm herself by buying alcohol. That night, she received a call from an unknown number, warning her to be careful tonight. At the same time, she noticed a strange car following her. It could have been one of the parents. She drove home cautiously. Before she could start drinking, the doorbell rang. When she stepped outside, she found her car vandalized, the word witch carved into it. The next morning, Justine tried to scrub away the marks, but failed. She went to the principal's office anyway, hoping to distract herself by keeping busy. But Marcus, the principal, told her to take time off until the parents had calmed down. He explained that the situation was too unstable for her to continue teaching. Justine wanted to speak with Alex, the only surviving child, but Marcus refused, insisting the boy had already been through enough. His home had been searched multiple times, and he'd been subjected to endless interrogations. To help him regain some sense of normalcy, they'd even moved him to a different class. Still, Justine persisted, arguing that she and Alex were the only two left who had lived through the tragedy. But Marcus was firm. She needed to step away from the school for now and focus on her own recovery, even telling her to use her unemployment insurance to get by until things settled down. Later, Justine filed a complaint against whoever had vandalized her car. At the police station, she ran into an old friend she hadn't seen in years. The two later met at a bar where she sought comfort from him. His name was Paul. Though Paul drank heavily, something that unsettled her, he tried to reassure Justine and lift her spirits. His own relationship with his fiancée was crumbling, which secretly pleased Justine. She urged him to drink more with her. The next morning, Justine woke Paul. They had spent the night together, having gotten what he wanted. Paul made it clear he wasn't interested in a serious relationship. Justine confided in him about the disappearance of her 17 students. Paul advised her to leave the investigation to the police and not get personally involved. They said their goodbyes and agreed to forget about the night before. But Justine couldn't let it go. She began following Alex, waiting for the right moment to finally talk to him herself. No one seems willing to open the door. The house is completely covered up from the inside, with nothing visible. Peeking through a gap between the newspapers taped on the windows, Justine catches a glimpse of Alex's parents sitting motionless on the couch. The sight shocks her. Perhaps they don't want visitors, but the situation feels far too suspicious. Justine calls Marcus to inform him. Instead of support, the principal scolds her. He reminds her that he had warned her not to interfere in Alex's troubled life. Marcus dismisses the call and, for the final time, warns Justine to stop playing detective and stop adding pain to the family's wound. Later, Justine goes out to buy more alcohol. At the store, she unexpectedly runs into Paul's fiancée, who was learned about last night. Enraged, she lashes out at Justine, cursing her. That night, Justine has a dream connected to the missing children. In it, Alex stares at her with a terrifying expression. She wakes up shaken. The next morning, she decides to approach Alex's house early, hoping to catch him before school. But Alex refuses to speak with her and quickly runs back inside.
Everything's all
Don't
right.
follow me!
Determined, Justine keeps watch, waiting in her car. At midnight, Alex's mother emerges from the house, holding a pair of scissors. To Justine's horror, she calmly opens the car door, cuts off a lock of Justine's hair, and then quietly returns home. The second act shifts focus to Archer, father of one of the missing children. A month has passed since his son Matthew vanished. Now Archer spends his nights sitting in his younger son's room, emotionally broken. He still cannot come to terms with how Matthew walked out of the house on his own one night and never returned. His grief has begun to poison his work. He makes mistakes, sending wrong orders to his customers. The red paint splattered on the back of his car reveals the truth. Archer was the one who vandalized Justine's vehicle with the word witch. He is convinced the teacher is connected to the children's disappearance. Desperate for answers, Archer seeks out the police chief. He digs into Justine's background and grows even more suspicious. Her record of drunk driving and past charges of alcohol abuse convince him she isn't the innocent woman she appears to be. But the police chief dismisses Archer's theories. He insists the children left their homes of their own accord, which makes blaming anyone impossible. He orders Archer to stop interfering and to wait for the investigation to conclude. But Archer won't accept it. Like at the earlier parents' meeting, his anger toward Justine only grows. Refusing to wait any longer, he begins to follow her himself. In the overlapping timeline, it is revealed Archer was indeed the one who carved witch into Justine's car. That night, Archer experiences a lucid dream, much like Justine's. In it, Archer searches desperately for his son. Following Matthew, he arrives at a house where a gun is displayed above the doorway, its digital clock frozen at the exact time the children vanished. Inside, he finds Matthew staring at him silently. Archer jolts awake in terror. The dream convinces him there must be truth in it. He retraces Matthew's steps on a map, then heads to the home of another missing child. By reviewing their security footage, he manages to trace the child's movements in a straight line, adding it to his map. Piece by piece, Archer identifies a central zone where the lines intersect, a possible location where the children may have gone. He begins to surveil each house within that zone, but when he spots Justine at a gas station, he abandons his watch and confronts her. Exhausted and overwhelmed, Justine has no energy left to defend herself. She refuses to argue and simply drives off. Suddenly, Marcus appears and attacks her, trying to strangle her. Archer attempts to restrain him, but Marcus seems possessed, focused solely on harming Justine. The third act centers on Paul. His fiancée is due back in 3 nights and is eager to see him again. Dina asks Paul to inform her father, the police chief, that they will be attending her parents' anniversary celebration after her return. She also urges him to keep attending his addiction recovery meetings while she's away. Paul has been sober for 3 years, and she fears a relapse before their wedding. Paul, protected by his connection to the police chief, is on a path to security and status. He tries to keep himself disciplined. At the station, Paul unexpectedly runs into Justine, who is there to file another complaint. Later, while patrolling the city, he notices something suspicious. After an intense chase, Paul manages to stop a man named James.
Anything in your pocket's gonna stick me when I put my hands in there, James.
No, sir, I do not.
But during the search, Paul's finger is accidentally pricked by a used syringe. In a surge of anger, Paul punches James across the face, knocking him out cold, while the police body camera captures everything. A single complaint from James would be enough to destroy Paul's entire career. Panicked, Paul decides to quietly wake James and make a deal. He'll let him go if James promises never to file a complaint.
The addict agrees. Each will go their separate ways, but Paul's mind remains troubled by the possibility of contracting a deadly disease from the syringe. He decides to confide in his future father-in-law, the police chief, hoping for a solution. If James doesn't file a complaint within a month, the body cam footage will be overwritten and replaced by new recordings, leaving no evidence behind. This knowledge calms Paul somewhat, but the fear of illness continues to haunt him. When Justine reaches out, Paul welcomes the distraction. Desperate to escape his spiraling thoughts, he chooses to drown his fear by spending more time with her.
He betrays his fiancée and even breaks his 3 years of sobriety, returning home drunk and broken, only to find his fiancée waiting. She had come back early to surprise him. Everything unravels in an instant. Paul is caught, with no defense left to offer. In the days that follow, Paul senses a chilling change in the police chief's behavior toward him. It seems everyone now knows of his disgrace. His paranoia grows when he spots James heading toward the police station. Losing control, Paul lunges at him. The fourth act shifts to James, the homeless addict. Desperate and strung out, he consumes the last of his stash. None of his old friends will answer his calls, knowing exactly what he wants. Driven by withdrawal, James breaks into a car, stealing a handful of belongings to trade for drugs. But the buyer scoffs, refusing to pay for such junk. With cravings intensifying, James turns to theft again, this time chased through the streets by police, leading back into the events already shown. After being released, James slips into an apparently abandoned house, climbing through an upstairs window. He searches for valuables, rifling through rooms, until he stumbles upon Alex's parents, sitting frozen, eyes fixed on nothing. Unfazed, he continues stealing, convinced they pose no threat. In the kitchen, he strips away scrap metals. Then in the basement, James makes a horrifying discovery. The missing children are being kept there. Terrified, he bolts from the house with his stolen goods. At a pawn shop, a poster offering a $50,000 reward for the missing kids catches his eye. Seizing the chance, he runs to the police station to reveal their location and claim the prize. But when James spots Paul, panic overwhelms him. He flees, sprinting all the way back to his hideout, only for Paul to track him down. Cornered, James confesses he knows exactly where the missing children are, and he's willing to trade the information for his freedom.
Do you have AIDS? I mean, shit, not that I know of.
Together, they head for Alex's house. Paul orders James to wait in the car while he goes inside. Hours later, the door creaks open. Paul emerges, changed, eerie in demeanor. He pulls James toward the house. The fifth act turns to Marcus, the school principal. After repeated calls from Justine, Marcus finally agrees to invite Alex's parents to the school for a meeting. But instead, Alex's aunt, Gladys, arrives. She explains that the parents have been harassed endlessly by strangers and investigators, so she has come in their place. Marcus is unconvinced. He insists the parents appear the next day, or he will be forced to notify the school board. That night, while Marcus rests at home with his partner, the doorbell rings. Gladys is there, claiming she's been in an accident. She asks for a glass of water and a moment to recover inside. Once inside, she ensures Marcus hasn't reported the parents' absence. Then, using a piece of wood and a ribbon, she constructs a ritual charm. The spell takes hold. Marcus turns violently on his partner, attempting to kill them. It becomes clear now, all the events are bound to a sinister witchcraft. Gladys completes the ritual by tying the lock of Justine's hair to Marcus's wooden charm, binding him to seek out his next victim. Anyone who tries to expose the truth behind Alex's house will be killed. Justine manages to escape the supermarket with Archer's help, fleeing in her car. Eventually, after Marcus's accident, Archer realizes that he had been bewitched into trying to murder Justine. He recounts everything that happened to the police at the hospital. Justine thanks Archer for saving her life. Archer shows her the map he had drawn, and together they become certain that Alex's parents' house is the key to everything. The final act of the film focuses on Alex. At school, he is constantly bullied. Even when Justine defends him, the relief is only temporary. He once lived in a loving, normal family, but everything changes on the night Gladys, Alex's ailing aunt, arrives. With nowhere else to go, she asks to stay with them for a while.
Despite Alex's father's concerns, the family agrees to let her move in. Late that night, Gladys arrives in terrible condition. Her appearance frightens Alex when he first meets her. Stranger still, Alex notices his parents sitting motionless, staring blankly, unresponsive to him. Gladys has bewitched them, warning Alex that he tells anyone she is living there, his parents will die, and then she will come for him next.
I can make them eat each other if I want to. Promise you will not talk about me to another human being. Say it.
I promise.
Terrified, Alex obeys. He keeps his parents alive by feeding them canned soup, while Gladys settles into the home. Soon, Gladys appears weak and dying. To recover, she demands that Alex bring her a personal item belonging to every student in his class. In return, she promises to leave and restore his parents. Desperate, Alex agrees. The next day, he collects name stickers from his classmates during gym and hides them in his bag. Justine notices Alex's troubled state and tries to talk to him, but Alex refuses, fearing for his parents' lives. That night, Gladys uses the children's belongings to cast a powerful spell. One by one, Alex's classmates begin arriving at his house, under her control. Even when inspectors later visit the home, Gladys disguises everything, shifting the location of the missing children with another spell. Time passes and Gladys breaks her promise. Having found a suitable home, she refuses to leave, keeping Alex under her control for her dark rituals.
We return to the present timeline. Alex comes home with cans of soup and finds Paul and James inside, motionless, both enslaved by Gladys. Meanwhile, Justine and Archer approach the house. Paul emerges, inviting them in. It's a trap. Soon, Paul and James attack. No matter how hard Archer fights, he cannot knock James out. He too is possessed. The battle rages until Archer discovers the missing children hidden in the basement. Justine manages to kill Paul with a gunshot to the head, then rushes to save Archer. At the same time, Alex sneaks into Gladys's room, searching desperately for a way to break the spell. His parents, still enslaved, are moments away from killing him. In a bold act of courage, Alex uses Gladys's hair from her wig and his own blood to craft a new charm, reversing the spell. In the basement, Archer finally comes face to face with Gladys. She rips the pendant from his neck, and soon Archer, under her control, turns on Justine. Gladys watches in delight as Justine struggles for her life, but Alex completes the ritual. The children turn against Gladys, swarming her. She tries to escape, but they overpower her, tearing her apart piece by piece. At last, her death shatters every spell she ever cast. Everyone enslaved is freed just in time. The witch has met her brutal end. Archer is finally reunited with his long-lost son, returning home together. Justine embraces Alex, who now clings tightly to his freed parents. For the first time in a long while, there is hope that they might once again be a family.